He's going all the way. 20, 15, 10. Touchdown. Texas Tech takes home the victory.
Welcome to episode 115 of the Broadway Shuffle. I'm joined today by Conrad Mills and Clayton. I'm Zyler Buchanan. We're here to talk to you about week 5 of the FBS season. Where did Texas Tech come in the most recent AP poll? What happened around the Big 12? And who's the Heisman frontrunner? That and much more coming up next. Conrad, I'll go to you first, though. What were your impressions week 5? What did you take away? What were some of the interesting things you noticed? Which SEC quarterback has your attention? Everybody's dying to know. What were your thoughts, man?
Yeah, week 5 was awesome. I think yesterday it was a great day of college football because you didn't have to worry about losing as a Texas Tech fan. Not that that's really been much of a worry for us so far this year, but it was a great day of college football. I mean, Alabama, Georgia, Penn State, Oregon, USC, the Illini versus Illinois, LSU, Ole Miss. I mean, it's just it was a great day of college football. And I think, you can mention all the Big 12 games in there as well as Friday night. TCU, Arizona State was a sight to behold. I enjoyed that. We'll talk about that later. But great day of college football yesterday. Really enjoyed it, but excited for week 5 and Texas Tech, or week 6 rather, and Texas Tech playing at Houston, and we're all ready for that game next Saturday night. But it was fun. Clayton, any thoughts from you on all the Conrad, various games?
I gotta stop you here. You texted in our group and said, and I just want the listeners to know, they got spared from a sermon. Conrad said, if USC goes into Illinois and knocks them off, my Lincoln Riley monologue is going to be insane. So listeners, you were spared. The Lincoln Riley road woes against big teams continue. Conrad does not get to talk about Lincoln Riley and how great of a coach he is. So, Conrad, any comments, thoughts on that USC debacle?
You just put me on the spot right here in front of our thousands of listeners.
Yeah.
There's some of us on this podcast who really enjoy rooting for Texas Tech alumni. We want our fellow Red Raiders to do well, and others like to make fun of them. I'm on one side of that. Others are on the other side. I was disappointed in the Trojans yesterday, especially that clock management at the end of the game was less than stellar. I'm sure Clayton will go into that in his thoughts on college football yesterday. But no, it was not good. You are spared from my Lincoln Riley and USC support just from thinking about another Red Raider. So it's disappointing, but it's kind of commonplace now at USC.
Clayton, your thoughts from week 5?
Yeah, to echo everything Conrad said, it was a great day not to have a Tech game. Not that, I'm never happy to not be able to watch Tech, but if there was going to be one Saturday to not have to tune into Tech for 3.5 hours, it'd be yesterday. I thought the environments yesterday were great. Mm-hmm. There was, the Washington crowd, the Penn State, obviously, Ole Miss, even Arkansas to start the game before they got down by 3 scores. But yeah, I mean, I loved watching all the games, and I feel like all of them lived up to the hype too. I forgot to mention Virginia's crowd as well.
Oh yeah.
Like that game Friday night, and all of the games it seemed like lived up to the hype, except for Arkansas Notre Dame.
That's a tough one. Tough one for Sam Pittman. He ends up getting
CJ Carr though. CJ Carr.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so here I saw somebody actually bring this up. Do you guys think Notre Dame, actually, before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about Texas Tech and kind of how week 5 relates to them. The AP poll comes out and we're ranked 11th. You actually moved up a spot over the weekend. I didn't think that was going to happen. But yeah, you're one spot away from being top 10 with a trip to Houston on deck. Thoughts on that ranking? Too high, too low, just right? Where would you guys have the Red Raiders? Clayton, I'll go to you first. What were your thoughts there?
Yeah, I was genuinely shocked that Georgia and LSU dropped below Tech. I thought they would for sure stay above us, and Ole Miss and Bama would pass us. I think the LSU one is definitely deserved. In my opinion, they don't deserve to be above Tech. I think I could hear an argument for Georgia staying above us, even though they'd have a loss. But yeah, I think in my personal rankings, I have Tech at like 9. I haven't done them for this week, but I feel like 11, I'm not going to be slighted by that. Conrad, what about you?
Yeah, I'm looking at them right now. It's an interesting top 10. I mean, A&M at 6 is interesting. I know they beat Auburn. Auburn might have one of the worst offensive lines in college football. I feel terrible for Jackson Arnold. I just have sympathies for a quarterback that literally can barely do anything. Not that he's played great, but behind that offensive line, I don't know what quarterback would play great. OU at 5, I think is interesting. Obviously, we're going off their resume and what they've done. Without John Mateer, I'm interested to see what that continues to look like in the future. But Texas Tech, I mean, I can see an argument that we are, above Texas. I know Texas lost to Ohio State and our biggest wins against Utah, and then we played 3 other teams that weren't all that great. But at the same time, the way we've looked in all those games, so I can see an argument for it. But you're not going to hear me complaining about an 11th overall ranking in the country. But I do see an argument where you could be higher and specifically above Texas and Indiana. But we'll see what happens. So I'm happy with it right now. I'm glad next week. I mean, I think if we win, let's say if we win by 21 next week, I think we will probably be like 7 or 8. Is that fair, or is that a little bit maybe too overshooting it a little bit?
I think it kind of depends on what happens around you, just because I don't know that that's like a needle moving win unless you do, something crazy. I don't want to get too much into our Houston preview. We'll talk about that Thursday morning. It is a nice opportunity for you. I want to, the national scene is just so interesting right now. There seems to be, right now, I think the top 2 teams are Oregon and Ohio State. And I actually think maybe 3 of the 5 best teams in the country might be in the Big Ten. It might be Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana. If you believe in Indiana. So it's an interesting landscape that you find yourself in. I think Ohio State and Oregon have really kind of risen above the rest of the country, in my mind, just based on what they did. That win against Washington, where they just made them look hapless. I think a lot of people it was a 6-point spread. A lot of people had Washington in that game, and Ohio State never even really gave them a chance. And then to do what Oregon did against Penn State, I think is really interesting. Where I think it's really exciting for Tech is I think you have a really neat opportunity to be a top flight team this country. And this year. That doesn't mean you're going to win it all. That doesn't mean you'll even be in the top 5 or even the top 10, but you've got an opportunity to be really good this year. And I think it comes at a nice time where there's not a lot of super elite teams littered around the country. I think, you might find out that Georgia's really good, or Ole Miss is really good, or even Alabama's really good. Maybe Florida State's really good and they just got knocked out by a Virginia team. I think what I learned mainly is just there's no perfect teams. And I think I've been thinking about our team because everything's gone so well that nothing's ever going to go badly. And I think we'd be foolish to think that we're not going to run into some actual adversity and probably face some really big deficits and maybe some games on the road that we're going to lose. Virginia had no business being in that game with Florida State, and yet you go into a raucous atmosphere and crazy things happen. That's just college football, and that's how the game goes. Far be it from me, at a program like ours, to think that we're going to be this team that just runs through our entire schedule undefeated. I would love for that to happen. I just don't know that that's going to be a reality. And I see some of the commentary about the games that happened this year or this week in the Big 12, like Kansas State over UCF or Kansas losing to Cincinnati, what Houston did against Oregon State, BYU against Colorado. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, we're just going to kill all these teams. And I don't think that that's necessarily a foregone conclusion. You've beaten one good Utah team on the road. I don't know that your resume shows that you're just going to walk through this entire schedule without any sort of difficulties.
Let me ask you this. So if you're looking at the Big 12 right now, where does Utah rank still? Do you think it still ranks? Do they still rank second, or would you have Arizona State above them at this point? I mean, how does that shake out? Because I think we're all in agreement that Texas Tech so far in the Big 12 has been the number 1 team. But where would you rank, the TCUs, obviously Kansas State would be closer to the bottom, but in terms of our 2 road games that are coming up, where would you say, okay, Texas Tech's here, but how does the rest of the Big 12 shake out after week 5 of the college football season?
Clayton, I'll go to you first. I got to think about that a little bit.
I still think that I would still have Utah second. And I think if you're factoring in their home field, like if you're playing every single team in the Big 12 away, I think I would definitely consider Utah the toughest, because I feel like going to Utah is tougher than going to Arizona State in my mind, and I think Utah is still a little bit better. I feel like, Arizona State, if we're being honest, is a little bit lucky to come away with 2 wins, and we saw them lose to Mississippi State earlier in the year. I honestly thought TC was really good, and they still could be, but they absolutely blew that game in the second half. So yeah, I think I'd still say I mean, I need to see them against another good team because right now they've obliterated all the bad teams they played and then kind of got pushed around by Tech. But I still think I'd have them second.
Yeah.
Well, they've got Arizona State they've got Arizona State on the 11th, week 6, and then they've got BYU after that. So we'll know about Utah,
In Utah.
especially after those two. Yeah.
Iowa State's really good too, though.
I was most impressed. The Big 12 team that I was most impressed with was Iowa State. I think there was a argument for me that Arizona was maybe a sneaky contender, like maybe they could backdoor their way 6-3, 7-2 into a Big 12 title game. I think just watching them kind of get, and it wasn't really fluky, kind of get physically dominated by Iowa State. And that's a physical team, and that's a hard place to play. We've had plenty of good teams go in there and just get absolutely dominated. So I'm not writing them off completely, but as far as them being in the contender status, I think I'm out on that. I think I elevated Iowa State a little bit in my mind. They'd always been that team. They're 2-0 in the Big 12. I mean, they're ahead of you. But I still think it's Utah. But I think it's like Tech and Utah, and then it's like just a little bit below that, it's Arizona State and ISU. But, I mean, those are the two teams that are 2-0 in the Big 12 are Arizona State and Iowa State, the teams that were in the Big 12 title last year. They're probably feeling pretty disrespected that they don't get more national love, more like acclaim after they've had a really good start. I don't know. Interesting.
Is it crazy for me not to respect Utah for the sole purpose that their passing game with Dampier is just not good?
Did you see that he was the highest graded QB in college football yesterday?
I know, man,
no, I did not see that, but they played.
It did not look that good to me. But I did see that, Clayton.
Yeah. I didn't watch. I watched bits and pieces of that game, but
well,
I don't
think
he's as
so
bad.
fast, but
I mean, no, I don't think you're wrong about like if you force them into a downfield passing game that they're probably not going to have a lot of success. But I don't think he's a bad QB. Like,
no, I think he's just very specific in the things that he can do well.
Yeah,
if it's not in that game script, he is just not. He's not.
I totally agree.
The thing is too, like yesterday, I'm looking at it right now, 21 to 26, 237, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. The difference is they won by a ton. I mean, 48-14 against West Virginia. That's a little bit different than when they had to play a team like Tech with a legitimate defense. And so, I mean, I guess, yeah, he looked good against UCLA. I mean, all that stuff, but I just don't know if he couldn't do it against us. Now, granted, we have a top 10 defense in the country. Is he really going to have to be able to do it against other people? But those other teams don't have the same defense we have.
Yeah, and I guess I think Clayton made a good point too. I don't think that Dampier's bad. I think my take that I sent you guys in the group message where he's Isaac Wilson with more with a darker skin tone. That's not true. I think that was a little bit harsh just based on what I'd seen in the first couple plays. But I don't know. Who do you guys think is the best quarterback in the Big 12 right now? I thought it was Josh Hoover, and then just an absolute egg of a performance against Arizona State. I mean, just couldn't. His interception and then the fumble he had on those super critical drives.
Two interceptions.
Oh, man. Just like, and that's what his thing has always been. It's like he can give you these insane games where he looks perfect and he looks like an NFL-ready quarterback. And then he will have games where he does something like that, and it's just like 5 turnover-worthy plays in the game. He has that Avery Johnson gene. Or I don't know. Who do you guys think is correct? I really don't know. I mean, I
still think it's Sawyer personally, but I think any one player can like there's a group of like 6 QBs that I think on any Saturday could be the best. And like I would say Robertson, Levitt, Barron, Hoover, Rocco. I'm probably missing someone.
Jalen Daniels?
Maybe Daniels, because Daniels' highs are very high, but his lows are also very low.
Yeah,
dude, Sawyer's 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions with a little over 1,700 yards and a 64% completion percentage. I mean, that's pretty good.
There should be a stat at the end of the year where you adjust and normalize stats if you get to play Oklahoma State, because I think that is just going to be like a stat monster game for quarterbacks.
Hey,
yeah.
Baylor
they
might
just
be a
fired their
stat monster
defensive
game
coordinator
for quarterbacks.
too.
Yeah, truly, that might be true too.
Yeah, I'd probably go. I don't know. I'd probably go Sawyer, but you know, it's difficult because, like Clayton said, there's so many guys right there at the top that any given Saturday, you never know what could happen. I mean, you looking Saturday night at 6 p.m. Houston. I mean, Barron could come out of that looking like the best quarterback in the Big 12, which I think he very well could. But you just never know because you've got a lot of guys on this list that can play. and it depends on who they play that week.
Yeah, it is an interesting question. I think Clayton probably is right that Sawyer is the leader in the clubhouse right now, and he hasn't had like a bad game yet. I think Hoover's like, there was all the Heisman love for Hoover, and it's like that is all completely gone. Like that after that performance.
How would you feel if you were a TCU fan right now? I mean, other than the obvious that rooting for TCU has to be one of the hardest things to do in life for reasons that are well documented on the podcast. But how would you feel if you were a TCU fan and you had lost to Arizona State the way they did going into the rest of the year? Like, are you obviously, I think you have to be lower on your team significantly than you were before that game.
Yeah, some good things. If we wanted to get into some Big 12 notes, I think this is kind of a good segue. The TCU run defense, when it's not in the red zone, remains very bad. Or at least in that game. And that's with what I think is a pretty mediocre Arizona State offensive line. But I'll caveat, I think they have like 3 really good running backs. Raleek and Kyson Brown, both really good. Kanye Udo, I don't even think he played, but I think he's good too. And then if you can't contain Levitt, like in your rush lanes, like he can really hurt you on the ground. I think I'm down on, because it's kind of like same old to me. Maybe a little bit of an improved defense, probably an offense that took a little bit of a step back. That's you're probably not as high. I don't know, Clayton. What did you think?
Yeah, I would be. I don't know if I'm making like any sweeping generalizations about like the quality of the team off that game, but with their schedule, like they really needed to win that game after going up 17-0. They definitely have one of the tougher schedules among contenders. So I mean, losing your first Big 12 game and then making it to Arlington is just really tough. I know Arizona State did that last year, but I don't know that you can bank on that every year. So I feel like just seeing that, they should have had that game in the bag. And if their offense did literally anything in the second half, they would have.
It was one touchdown, and then it was like, we cannot get touchdowns.
Yeah, I think on their other drives, aside from the touchdown, they had like 4 first downs. Besides the touchdown drive. So
did you move Arizona State up in your own estimation after watching that game? I think I did a little bit. I think that defense is good.
Same. Yeah, the defense is good. I think they can win a lot of games like by that exact score, like 27, 24, 28, 21, something like that.
Totally agree.
How would you evaluate that environment in Tempe on Friday night? Just projecting forward a little bit for Texas Tech, because that's where we play here in a few weeks. So how does that environment scare you? Obviously not as much as Utah's, but does it, after watching Friday night, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, weird game, because they had like not a rain delay, but it like monsooned there for like 2 hours before the game started. So I think you nuked the environment pregame a little bit, but it looked like a good crowd. It's going to be a hard place to play. Dillingham gets that crowd going, and I think they have a good team. And like Levitt, when he's playing with that home crowd, it's like the chaos energy is just unbelievable. Like he can just turn what should be really bad plays into really good plays. I mean, I think they're the toughest road game you have left, without a doubt.
Sure.
For sure. Yeah. I actually went to the Tech Arizona State game in 2016 or whatever.
Oh,
and the one where he scored, what was it, 6 touchdowns or whatever.
Yep.
I thought that was at home. Was that not at home?
It was there.
No.
Oh, but sorry. You have vivid memories. I'm sorry.
It is terrible. It was an awful memory.
But they have a good crowd. Their student section is good, and it's pretty big. Yeah. And they definitely weren't as good then as they are now. So I would expect it to be a tough environment when we play there.
I have a take that I've been workshopping. Also, I do want to say that my 2 bet your mortgage on the team to win picks last week both hit, Oregon and Ole Miss. So ball knower right here. But the take that I am matriculating right now is that Kansas State is last year's Kansas, where they're going to not be very good, probably miss a bowl game, but they're going to ruin some teams' chances at winning the Big 12. I think they're good enough, and they have enough talent on defense and offense to pull the Kansas of last year, where they beat Colorado, they beat BYU, knock those teams out of the Big 12 title. I think they totally agree. No, they lost to Kansas beat BYU, right? I know they for sure beat Colorado.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So that's my I'm workshopping that. I'm not ready to officially announce it, but that's something that I've got on the back burner right now.
We should talk about Kansas a bit too, because dude, I feel like they can't shake being a bad football team. And I know that shouldn't like be a evaluating factor, but like I saw a stat that since the start of last year, they've been outscored like 64-15 in the final 2 minutes of the first half, and they don't have a single touchdown. Like they find ways to lose games. And even yesterday, like I think one thing that struck me is a brand new stadium. You have one of your better teams of the 21st century playing, and it's like half full in the middle of the second half in a tight game.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't know that they're ever going to get like over the hump.
That's what we call the TCU fan base model.
So could another fan base turn that directly on Tech? That exact same mantra with like the can't get over being just like an okay football team. Is that going to be something that people say about
if we don't do it this year, that'll for sure be a narrative, whether it's true or not.
Conrad?
Yeah. Kansas losing. I mean, I don't know. Losing to Cincinnati, I wasn't very high on Cincinnati coming into the year, but losing to them, I think I'm not going to say there.
I think that's not a terrible loss. I don't think that's a terrible loss.
It's not a terrible loss, but with what Kansas thought they were going to be, and that being losing at home and having that crowd input, I'm not thrilled for Kansas. Obviously, having that sense, I'm just glad we get to play them in a few weeks in Lubbock, and I think that'll be an absolutely epic game. I really hope it's a night too. I think that environment, if we played Kansas with those throwback uniforms we're going to be wearing, would be awesome. But Kansas, I'm not sure what they'll be the rest of the way. I think they're still trying to figure a lot of things out from at least the bits and pieces I saw of that game.
Yeah, and I thought they played better than Cincinnati and probably deserved to win. It was just like lack of execution in critical moments, coupled with really, really good execution by Cincinnati there at the end. That fourth down conversion was crazy. Like
one-handed grab to save the game.
Yeah, and then I don't know. Just an interesting thing. And then Kansas State defeats UCF. I watched some of this game, and it was UCF. Kansas State tried to lose this game. They did let UCF come back, and then they kind of put them away. But, Kansas State...
Were they running 2 QB sets? I saw something about that on Twitter.
Yeah, they brought in that kid. I didn't watch enough to like tell you definitively, but he did come in and run some stuff, like some running plays. It was weird.
Interesting.
I don't know why they don't want to run Johnson. Maybe it's because he's like more skinny, like he's not stout. I don't know. Just thought it was interesting. And I guess the only other real Big 12 news, and I don't even think we need to spend 20 seconds on this, Utah demolishes West Virginia. I mean, it was not even close. Utah could have named their number. When you can't stop the run against Utah, it is just going to be a long, long day. And that defense is still really good. West Virginia had no answer. Starting QB was out. Their best wide receivers out. Their best running backs out. It's going to be a tough season for them this year.
Yeah, it's going to be a long season in Morgantown.
Yeah, but we better not overlook them. We play them in Morgantown last game of the year. So
if you overlook them
if you were
on the last game after a bye,
the Big 12 title.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying we will. I don't think we will. I'm just saying it in general. Like
it is. One thing that's weird about this Big 12 season, it's the first time I can really remember us doing like games so staggered where like some teams are 2-0, some teams have only played one game, and so like TCU, for example, they lost, and so now they're 2.5 games behind Arizona State. Like, it's just a wild. Like, you're already so far back, even though you have plenty of opportunities to catch up. It's just a weird dynamic, and it's going to kind of be that way for, I guess, a little bit till it all normalizes out. Anyway, good stuff. Good talk about the Big 12. I don't think there's any games that I missed outside of that Iowa State game, and then BYU knocks off Colorado, comes back. I guess that's one other thing I'll touch on. Colorado, I think this is Deion's last year. I don't think he has any interest in coaching this team. They are just kind of all over the place. I think BYU is going to be a force. That run defense is good.
Yeah. Where are all the Colorado fans?
They're in Cleveland now. They're with Shadur, and they all moved to follow Travis Hunter.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just asking questions. I don't have answers.
Did Jacksonville draft Travis Hunter to just decide to not play him, or like what was the whole game plan here?
Dude, I've been wondering the same thing.
It's like what?
Also, the snap count by game is so interesting. Like the first game, he played almost entirely on offense, and then it slowly decreased to where he was playing like nothing on both sides of the ball, and then goes back up on defense. It's like maybe they're just trying to figure out what he's good at, but I don't understand it. If
there's an organization I trust to not know what to do with a talented player, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I know that people don't really care about that. Other random kind of national news, Sam Pittman gets fired at Arkansas. Interesting. So many coaching fires before October. I don't think I've ever seen this many at the FBS level. Unbelievable to see, I think, Virginia Tech, UCLA, Oklahoma State, now Arkansas. Is there one more I'm missing? Maybe
There
it's
is
just
one
4.
more. I can't remember which one it is. I'm pretty sure there was one more.
I think that's
I
just
thought it was just 4. Yeah.
I think it's just 4.
Okay, maybe. There's probably
yeah,
another one that'll happen by the time this is released.
I do not
I mean-
remember a season where that has been the case. Really,
Same.
really interesting stuff. I imagine Rhett Lashley is going to be wearing roaming the Arkansas sideline.
You
Do you
can
think so?
place your mortgage on Mike Gundy trying to get that job, though.
Oh my goodness. Him at Arkansas would actually be so funny. I would
It
really
would
be
be.
on that.
So let's talk about this a little bit, because I think not that we are Arkansas fans on this podcast, but Arkansas, if they would invest, like if they had actual NIL investment and donor buy-in, that could be a fantastic job. I mean, they obviously had it with basketball, and we know how that turned out for the Red Raiders. But at the same time, the football team, I mean, they've got a great fan base. They have everything if they just had investment and a coach that people wanted to rally behind. I don't know. Is that far-fetched with Arkansas, or is that accurate?
Which schools does that logic not apply to, though? You know what I mean? Like, if you had a great coach and investment, I think there's a lot of teams that would be really good.
Yeah, but not all schools have the actual potential for investment. I mean, Arkansas has the Walton family. They have the Tyson. They have Jerry Jones. I mean, how many schools can name that 3 trio in terms of families with resources that could, if they chose to, invest? They're just not. Obviously,
I think it's an
right?
interesting question about what's your program floor. Like, I think you could, so for Tech, for example, we've never had the fallout, like complete meltdown seasons like Kansas and Oklahoma State and some of these teams have had. You've had kind of a program floor. Granted, it's not like a super high program floor. It's like 4 to 5 wins. That's not anything that you're going to brag about, but you've never done the winless and conference thing that, Oklahoma State did.
And Baylor
and I'm
did
not saying
too.
you're a better program, but that's just like, where is Arkansas as a program in the SEC? Like, will they ever be institutionally like top 5 in that conference, or even top 6? Like, I don't think so.
No, I agree. I think Texas and OU joining that conference is really bad for schools like Arkansas, because like that will never be a more attractive job than Bama, Georgia, Texas, OU, Tennessee, Florida,
LSU,
LSU.
Ole Miss.
Yeah,
Ole Miss is obviously more attractive. I think
Arkansas is on the same level.
Yeah, that's the same level.
They've just been better recently.
Agreed. Yeah, but I mean, that's like
I'm just
7 schools right there.
I'm just saying, with that potential for investment, with that fan base, I just think, okay, if you actually had investment with this fan base, you could actually do something. But they don't have investment on a football level program, at least from where it appears for us. I mean, I'm no Arkansas expert, but they'd probably be better than what they are.
Yeah, and I want to be clear. Like, I think that's a good job. Like, it very clearly probably a top 25 job in the country. But it's like way closer to 30 than it is to 20 in my mind. Like,
it's not a better. I wouldn't even put it. I mean, I'm biased, but zooming out and looking at things from an objective standpoint as much as I possibly can, I wouldn't even put it close to Texas Tech. I put Texas Tech a top 15 job in the country.
Them being in one of the big 2 conferences is a massive lift.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know what I mean? Like,
I think they're
but
similar.
if they weren't in that conference, you just had like, if you what'd you say?
Yeah, but they are in that conference.
Yeah, I know, but for the sake of argument, like if they weren't, like if you're just looking at, okay, Arkansas is a school, Texas Tech is a school, location, resources, all of that stuff. I mean, that's why I don't like it's like, okay, well then where does that put like a school like Vanderbilt, or Kentucky? Like those schools like are kind of
lower.
Like, well, yeah, they are, but like I'd rather go like that. They are much far below Tech in terms of
for sure.
Like
I agree.
that, and so it's just like, that's why the conversation with the conference is kind of hard for me, because it's like, well,
Kentucky's coach. Hold on, let me find something on Kentucky's coach. I think he makes like a stupid amount of money.
Yeah, he makes a lot of money.
Yeah, he makes 9. He's almost a $10 million a year coach.
Who is their is it Mark Stoops?
Yeah.
He makes almost $10 million.
Does he make more than Mark Pope?
I think so. I don't know what Mark Pope makes. But I mean, he
He makes
clears
more
than every Big 12 coach. That's the
Yeah, he makes double Mark Pope.
Could you
That's the
imagine
thing
paying
about
your
the
coach
SEC
that to be
job.
Kentucky? Like, could you
But dude-
imagine paying? Oh my goodness.
We don't need to make this an SEC conversation, but that's the thing that, like, institutionally moving forward is going to be hard for Big 12 and ACC schools is how do you keep your coaches? Like, can Texas Tech fend off a program like South Carolina or Kentucky or, a team like that, maybe historically has been pretty similar in what your football prowess has been, but like institutionally, they're getting an extra $25 million a year from ESPN, and that's just really tough to combat year over year over year over year for the foreseeable future. And so, and for programs that are maybe not as well vested, someone like Iowa State, they've done a remarkable job keeping Campbell. But how do you do that when you do have good coaches? Which I think the Big 12 is in an interesting spot. I don't know that we have any coaches outside of Dillingham that any conference would potentially want right now, like anyone in the Big 10 or the SEC. I think maybe some teams would be interested in Joey
Campbell. I don't know. I feel like he's linked to every job opening, but
I think that's like more writers than it is like Campbell.
But like if Wisconsin fires Fickle, like I feel like he's going to be on the list, not just like general public, but like the actual schools list.
So maybe it's Campbell and maybe it's Dillingham, and that's not a disrespect to the guys.
You don't think that Joey would be that other schools would be interested in Joey though?
I think Joey would have to do this for a few more years for it to not be people thinking it's just like we have a stacked roster for this season.
I think people, and maybe unfairly, are going to say that this was Cody Campbell's team, not Joey's team.
Yeah,
and I guess I think that's unfair. I don't.
Yeah,
believe
I disagree.
I think that's.
But
I think that's complete.
But
if you're let's say you're Florida right now. I mean,
they're not hiring Joey.
Yeah.
Well, we know that because he told us he's dying in Lubbock, and that's we heard it here first on the Broadway Shuffle. But at the same time, if I was a Florida fan watching Napier roam my sidelines and all the pain that he's inflicted with the poor, clock management and obviously development of players, I would much rather have a guy that causes belief in my team than is the reason you don't believe in your team. Like I think Napier is a huge reason that Florida fans do not believe in the University of Florida.
I just think that Joey, like when he's evaluated nationally, and I think this too, I think he is so great for this particular job and the particular set of circumstances that surround our university that are unique. Just like I think Campbell is uniquely situated to succeed at Iowa State. Now, I don't think he would exclusively succeed at Iowa State. There's guys like Saban, and this is a terrible example because maybe one of the GOATs of all time, like he would succeed anywhere. There's no situation where he would not thrive. I think there are situations where certain coaches would thrive in and certain coaches that would not. Like, I don't think Billy Napier's a bad coach. I just don't think the Florida situation is where he needs to be. I think that job is a little bit over his head. And they're going to be looking for somebody they're going to want to poach a sitting SEC coach that they've seen do it in the conference.
Yeah, they're going to try to get Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, or Jed. They'll go get Jed Fish.
I watched that Lane Kiffin documentary. They just came out this week. Honestly, outside of Joey, well, go ahead.
If it just has an SEC logo on it, do you just consume the content?
No, I saw somebody tweeting about it, and it looked good, so I watched it, and it was actually fascinating. I mean, Lane Kiffin seems to be such a interesting guy in so many ways, but he seems like he's really figured out, and obviously he's a fantastic coach. That's never been the issue. It's been the other things, and so I don't know. I do enjoy the SEC football. I mean, that LSU Ole Miss game yesterday was good. Sorry, my mind's just in Fayetteville. I don't know why. Not a great place to be.
I think it's so interesting. Like, okay, so another discrepancy with the AP poll. Like, what Florida State and Bama are doing in the polls is so interesting. Like, Florida State beat Bama, lost to Virginia, and Bama obviously beat a really good Georgia team. But now Florida State's like borderline top 20, and Bama is back in the top 10. And it's like these two teams played each other. Like, the brand respect is so crazy.
Dude,
it's so crazy.
The college football playoff discussion this year is going to be insane. And there's going to be so many mad fan bases. There's a lot of teams, like big name teams, that are going to be 10-2 with really like nothing on the resume in terms of wins, and then the debate between those teams and like say the
93.
Big 12 loser was like 11-2 is going to be so interesting.
It's like,
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, there's something to be said, just like in college basketball, like who you played, where did you play them, and how did you perform? That's important. And losing on the road to Oklahoma, you should not get dinged that much for it. But when they go 9-3 and it's like 4 wins against like really bad teams, and then it's just like, oh, like I don't know. Going to be really, really interesting to see how that debate plays out. And then you're going to have Notre Dame this year, whose schedule got absolutely nuked because Arkansas is terrible. Purdue is terrible. NC State just lost to a team that fired their head coach. Like the last chance that they really have
USC
to make
lost
is
too.
USC lost. That'll be the last ranked team that they probably play all year. Does 10-2 get them in? And they are going to very loudly claim that it should get them in. And they barely lost to Miami and they barely lost to A&M. And they'll probably have a decent argument. But if they're involved in that discussion, I promise you the TV makers will make Notre Dame. They will get Notre Dame into the playoff. Like, no questions asked.
Penn State is also another interesting one. Like, I think Notre Dame, there will actually be people saying they shouldn't be included, and I don't think that's going to be the case with Penn State. But if they lose to Ohio State, there will be one good win on their schedule, and that would be Indiana if they do beat them. But I feel like they're gonna easily be included.
Yeah.
But with Notre Dame losing those 2 games, though, and the way they lost 2 games, obviously being close, I mean, if they go 10-2, would y'all say they should be in? Because I would.
I mean, it depends on other schools, but like, there's a good amount of SEC teams that I think would have better arguments over
Clayton
Notre
is
Dame.
pro SEC. You heard it here on the Broadway Shuffle.
I'm pro SEC when it comes to comparing with Notre Dame, but
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
I think there's going to be, I don't know. I feel like a lot of teams I think could go 9-3 with Notre Dame's schedule, I guess is how I'll put it.
Yeah, exactly. If they lose another one, it's over. But I don't think they're going to, and I also don't think that any of the teams that they're going to play are really going to be needle movers. Now, good on them. Crush Arkansas. Make a statement where you can, and they're going to really try to run it up on some of these teams. But that playoff discussion is going to get very spicy, I think, particularly with ACC teams that may get really gaudy records. And it's Clayton. I mean, we've talked about this. Like every time you tweet a team's remaining ACC schedule, it's like, holy moly, this conference is terrible. Like
Dude,
if you don't have Miami or Florida State on the conference, it's like nobody's going to respect your schedule.
That's like how you determine if they have a tough schedule or not, is do they play Miami and Florida State or not? I feel like
That's
the
not a
easy
great metric.
Georgia Tech, let me look up their schedule real quick. They are the most obvious, like they're going to be in the playoff discussion, and they're not even close to that level of football team. Because I saw their schedule and it's super easy.
Yeah.
They play in the ACC, they don't play Florida State or Miami. They do play Georgia out of conference at the end of the year, but they avoid both other ACC powerhouses.
It's just, and you know what? Yeah, this is the thing that Big 12 teams have fought for forever. You play the schedule in front of you. What do you do? That you can't go out and schedule another game. So, go out and win your games, do your thing. It's just the debates this year, I think, are going to be insanely toxic, especially with some of those SEC teams that go like 5-3 in conference and end 9-3.
Yeah, and especially too thinking about Texas Tech, if we can just take care of business, if the Red Raiders just take care of it, thankfully we will not be involved in any of those discussions. Because if you win every game, you should absolutely be in without a question. But if you do what some of these other teams are doing and don't do that, I think that's going to make for some interesting conversations. I wish there was like a pay-per-view option to watch like the College Football Playoff Committee when they're deciding the last one, like who's going to be. I know they would never. Well, actually, Zyler, I'm not sure if I buy that because ESPN is all about the money, and if they can find some way to make money, I think that could be interesting television.
I promise you, they will never let mics or recordings ever be included in those committee room meetings. I would.
Well, the logo is this, and the conference is this, so that's half a point, and that's another half a point, so that's a full point above. We should do a mock conversation, like we all play somebody different and see what it would actually maybe be like.
It's going to be interesting, and I think the thing that all these teams have to recognize is just win the games ahead of you. You can't control what other teams do. All you can do is play the team in front of you. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing, and that's all you can do. Guys, I want to transition. I can't even believe we've talked 40 minutes without a Texas Tech game last weekend, but we got to get to the best segment of the whole week. It's the Tommy Tubbervilles of the week. Clayton, I'm going to go to you first. Who is, and if this is your first time, we believe Tommy Tubberville to be, even though he's an upstanding senator, he is a fraudulent individual who has no business being honored or recognized. In fact, he deserves to be called out. Clayton, who's your Tommy Tubberville?
Yeah, mine is another two-time winner. We're starting to rack up the people who have won multiple Tommies. So this guy's, on his way to being on the Mount Rushmore of Tommy Tubbervilles with Alan Bowman and Shadir Sanders. But mine is James Franklin. This guy just is allergic to winning a big game. And I feel for Penn State because you can't fire him because the odds of you getting a worse coach are incredibly high. But since he came to Penn State, he's 1-15 versus top 5, 4-21 versus top 10. And I feel like this is the worst. He's 15-30 versus top 25 opponents. When you play at a school like Penn State that most of the time is going to have more talent than the other team, that's just embarrassing. Oh, he's also 4-17 versus Michigan and Ohio State. So the clear little brother in the Big Ten. I feel for Penn State fans because they're just never going to win anything with him as a coach. But you can't really fire him and risk downgrading. So, James Franklin, my Tommy of the week.
That's a good one. And I think Penn State's one of those programs where I think the level's pretty high. It is not that high. It's one of the best in the Big Ten, but it's not Ohio State, Michigan. It's in that Michigan State tier to me, or Wisconsin tier. It can get bad.
I feel like it's kind of in a tier of its own between Michigan and Ohio State, and then the rest.
Yeah, it's good, but it's you are not guaranteed 10-win seasons. Yeah, you're not that good.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll take the floor next. I mean, mine's another. I don't even know how many times this school group has been my Tommy Tubberville of the week. I think some of you guys have used it before, but TCU Horned Frogs. You guys go on the road to Arizona State, lose that game that way. Just not impressed. I think Hoover maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not for certain. He might be a little bit overrated, a lot overrated. You never know. I mean, it's just, I don't know. We can say that for another episode. I'd love to hear Brennan's opinion on that. But at the same time, TCU, you are my Tommy Tubberville of the week, and we'll see how they finish up the rest of the season. So Sonny Dykes, sorry about you.
Conrad, that's a great one. Mine's going to be a recurring one. I think they're going to be one of the favorites every single week for me. College Game Day. Love the program. It was a staple in my childhood. Loved getting up and watching it with my mom. It was a really, really fun experience for me. They have become just an absolute SEC propaganda machine. It's ridiculous the lengths that they will go to not attend a Big 12 game. I'm not saying that they should have done this week, but picking Alabama Vanderbilt, really, that's the game you want to do game day for? How many do you go to Tuscaloosa twice a year? I do not get it. I don't understand. I do understand. It's just really frustrating. I hate to see that they won't maximize exposure for other teams. Really, really frustrating. And game day is my Tommy Tubberville of the week. So, gentlemen. Oh, go ahead, Clayton.
Yeah, to add on to that, I don't understand how they're not going to Florida State, Miami. That they were cheering whenever Florida State lost to give them an excuse, but that's the first time those programs have played as real contenders nationally in a long time, and you're going to Alabama Vanderbilt. I know Vanderbilt's ranked, but that line is going to be 13 points.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just so
Saban just did not want to have to travel far. Saban wanted to be able to drive to work that Saturday morning. So he said, guys, please.
Back on game day. But yeah, good Tommy Tubbervilles. We didn't do a community one this week, mainly because I forgot to send out the tweet and we recorded way earlier than we usually do. So that'll be coming back next week. My other honorary Tommy Tubberville is Brennan for going to a Bills game instead of recording with the boys. So shout out Brennan Baxter. I should have mentioned that he's not here. Didn't even shout him out. So my apologies, Brennan, but also you're my Tommy Tubberville of the week. Guys, thank you. This was a lot of fun. Looking forward to our Houston preview. That'll come out Thursday. Follow us on socials. We're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can add Brennan on Snapchat if you'd like. We got all sorts of stuff going on. And look for our stuff on Texas Tech Plus. We love doing stuff with them. A lot of fun being with those guys. Thanks. If you haven't at this point, like and subscribe. And if you are still listening and you haven't subscribed, please let me know. The comments that people tell us about why they haven't subscribed are actually really funny. So keep them coming. We appreciate it. And we'll see you guys on Thursday. Thanks, guys.
He makes the catch. He's going all the way. 20, 15.